Hey everyone! So fair warning, this update is a chonker, so maybe grab a snack and a blanket. I'm going to dig into what's arriving in this month's update. We'll do the usual roundup of game health topics, and then as promised, dig into our approach to providing some players a second chance to return to Sea of Thieves. But before we jump right in, I wanted to reflect on the feedback that we've seen at launch of Season 17. I'll be honest, it's been tough to see the initial response to Season 17, but we were bracing ourselves as we'd seen some of those early signals from insiders. This season though is part of a fundamental shift in our approach to game updates, and has suffered a little for being the first one through this new process. Let's be clear, we do have a smaller team investment in seasons in this new structure, but that is to allow us to begin investing more in meaningfully expanding and enriching the game in ways that just don't fit into seasonal releases. Delivering our custom seas experience, improving game health, and setting ourselves up for longer term expansions are all examples where we can now invest more of our time in. I think it's also natural to compare this season to others that have come before, but our purposeful shift to a 3-act structure allows us to design updates that build the season up over time and deliver monthly updates that our players can begin to look forward to. With that in mind, we're now eager to see how Act 2 arriving this month and then Act 3 later in October helps build Season 17 up over time. It's also been great to see some of our creators begin finding those little clues hidden away within the season, as we've put the emphasis back on the narrative. You'll get no spoilers from me, but I'm excited to see this continue to play out over the season. So, with that, let's get into this month's update. Act 2 of Season 17 kicks off this month with a daring heist at Royal Crest Fortress. Now, this is a time-limited event, and will only be available to play during Act 2. So make sure to get involved and nab those rewards before Act 3 begins in October. Once the event is over though, don't worry. This experience will go into the bank alongside some of our other time-limited events from the past, and will then make their way back to the game as part of live events in the future. We've learned that some of these experiences are just best served in this time-limited way, to encourage players to come together during a short event, without the need for the feature to have to live out in an already busy sandbox. Alongside the introduction of Act 2, September's update continues to deliver more game improvements to the core experience as part of our monthly updates. First up, yes, the wait is over. 110 FOV is arriving in this month's update. Thanks to the feedback in insiders, we've extended the experience to not only provide that increased field of view, but this update will now also provide a range of FOV overrides for various dockable objects, like the ship's wheel, rowboat, or ladders. These overrides should give you everything you need to find your sweet spot for each area, balancing that desire for more vision while still retaining that muscle memory, accuracy, and feeling of being closer to the action that lower FOVs provide. We're really happy with where we've landed this new edition, and I'm glad we spent that time in insiders working to address your feedback up front here. We've then got improvements to the cinematic banners shown during voyages, giving players an option that keeps the health bar and ammo counters visible to help during combat. Animation improvements have been made to players swimming underwater, smoothing and slowing how our characters turn and move while swimming. This should address those annoying pirates who spin erratically underwater to try and avoid taking damage. We've addressed the issues reported by players in safer seas that were causing ships to begin randomly flying into the sky. And then also a nice quality of life improvement. Captains can now choose from any unlocked tier of trophy when placing them on board their ship, and are no longer restricted to using the highest tier they've unlocked. There's a few other nice improvements in this update, but I'll leave those all in the patch notes for you. Now, sticking with game health, I wanted to keep you all updated on what we've got coming up next from the team here. As we've shared previously, in our new team structure, there's been a purposeful investment in our game health team that aims to better balance our efforts between delivering new content and working to improve the core experience and mechanics already within the game. On the bug fixing front, the team are continuing to prioritise water desync and long black screen loading times. And yes, I know I've hit these areas a few times now, but these are all requiring fairly large changes under the hood to our systems, so we're just taking some time. But it will be worth it to finally address these long-standing issues. Behind the scenes, we're also continuing to invest in further performance improvements and security enhancements to further disrupt cheat development. On the experience side, we've kicked off work on those two areas of the naval experience I hit in the last video, with suppressing emergent threats in PvP and migrating crews away from repeated failed encounters. Nothing more to share here though until we've locked in our approach for these. Now, this isn't the only thing we're cooking up, so I wanted to lift the lid on the next hot topic area we're going to address, and that's weapon switching. So the topic of weapon switching, or quick swapping, or double gun exploit, or any of the names it's taken over the years, isn't a new one. This is an issue that raised its head back in 2018, and we've over time taken steps to try and address it. But I think it's fair to say that the experience we have today just isn't good enough. It's caused our combat to feel unresponsive, clunky, and it continues to divide our community, with most players just wanting a smoother combat experience, while others want techniques like quick swap brought back. So we're actually going to do both, but let me explain why. The first step we're going to take here is to make our standard weapon switching animations much more snappier, taking them from 1.3 seconds down closer to a second, providing a more responsive switch between weapons for all players. The second step will be to remove the guards we put in place behind the scenes to prevent the various quick swap, crouch swap techniques that allowed players to achieve that faster switch. With those guards removed, this should return that freedom to fire and move without the feeling that you're fighting the system. The result here will be a faster weapon switch time for all players. And while those old techniques are back on the menu, they crucially won't provide any firing speed advantage over regular switching, establishing that level playing field for encounters to play out between players of all skill levels. Our goal here is a much more responsive and fluid combat experience for all of our players. And that honestly feels like it's us returning to our roots, with the feel of weapon combat that we launched with back in 2018. We've been putting this system through its paces behind the scenes already, but we'll be bringing this soon to insiders so we can get your hands-on feedback and work with you to ensure we land the right experience here. And finally, I wanted to finish by sharing our plan for providing some players with a second chance in Sea of Thieves. We've taken our time here to review the ban reasons for all players over the last 7 years in order to craft a policy that treads that careful line of providing some players with an opportunity for a second chance, while still very much protecting our players from malicious individuals. For players who are granted this second chance, they'll return to the seas with 9 points already on their account, meaning they need to be on their best behaviour, as one major transgression or a couple of smaller ones will see their second chance over pretty quickly. For each month of good behaviour though, these points will begin to reduce, so these players can return to 0 eventually if they stay honourable. I won't go into each and every ban reason here, but wanted to share some examples on where we've landed with this new policy. Some areas are 0 tolerance for us, so players who've installed external cheating tools, been caught data mining, or have attempted to use unlicensed copies for the game, for example, will not be returning to the seas. The same goes for accounts which have breached Microsoft terms of service due to things like account trading, real-life threats, and other illegal behaviour. Players who've been banned for using offensive gamer tags will still remain banned, but if that gamer tag is changed, they can request an appeal and will have their access restored if there were no other serious offences on the account. Putting those areas to one side though, the majority of other reasons will be where players will be receiving a second chance back onto the seas. Whether it was for inappropriate language, offensive naming, or a range of other small offences, these players will now be returning with that 9-point threshold. This policy will be rolling out alongside our game update in October, so all players' accounts will be updated, allowing them to log back in when October's update lands. Now, while we've tried to ensure that every player has had a fair assessment here as part of the process, we know some players may have been miscategorised in the past. Once this policy has taken effect, players can request an appeal from our player support team, who will investigate your account history and review against the policy and confirm the action being taken. I suspect this is going to cause a fair backlog on player support, so please bear with us as the team work through this. We feel good with where we've landed here with this second chance policy, providing some of our players with that second chance on the seas and the opportunity to right the wrongs of the past under the new enforcement policy. Well, if you made it through all of that, congrats. Thanks for sticking with us, and catch you all next time.